G'day ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the YouTube channel. How are we all doing today? If you're wondering why I'm holding an umbrella, it'll be very fitting, and also the microphone's on there. But if you're new to the channel, ladies and gents, g'day, welcome. My name is Nathan, I make videos about motorcycles and motorcycle things of the sort. And today's weather has given me an idea for a good video topic. And it's going to affect every one of you at least once in your riding life. And that is getting caught in a rain, storm, windy, just stormy weather in general, alright? So we're going to talk about it because it happens to the best of us. Some of us choose to ride in this weather voluntarily, alright? Not all of us do, some of us do, but not most of us. I certainly don't prefer to, but I've been caught in it before. So, it doesn't matter if I'm on the bike or off the bike, the advice will stay the same, okay? I've done a few videos in the wet, but I try to avoid it. Now, ladies and gents, it doesn't matter if you're new or old rider, some of you just have never gotten stuck in the rain, good. Some of you choose to ride in the rain, fantastic. I don't have the gear for it and I don't really want to go buy some, so I just don't ride in the wet. What do you do if you get caught in different kinds of weather? Now, we'll start with the basic stuff. When it starts to rain, it's actually the most dangerous, okay? When the oils start to lift from the road and the road gets a little bit more slippery and all that fun stuff, that's typically when it's the most sketchy. Because the road might look relatively dry, but if it's still oily and you haven't seen it, you typically don't see it, so you might find yourself actually slipping more than if it's already wet. So when it starts to rain and get a little bit wet on the ground, take your throttle and don't apply maximum opening, okay? Because if you do, you're likely to spin that tire. Spinning in a straight line isn't so bad, alright? You might fishtail a little bit, especially off a stop, especially if you take off from the painted line, alright? So avoid the painted lines at every scenario here, alright? Painted lines, bad day. Bitumen, better. When you're going around a bend and it started to rain, that just means, okay, take it a little slower. Don't go at the same speed you would have taken at any other time of the year, or any other time of day, any other weather. Slow down when it's wet. It's pretty self-explanatory. You apply the same principles as driving a car. When it's wet, you don't go as fast, you don't power as much. That's just at the beginning stages. Once it's raining a little bit heavier, the road's actually a little bit better. It's still going to be slippery, don't get me wrong, but the oiliness should kind of be gone by that point. Same principle, avoid the painted lines and don't accelerate too hard. And around corners, go a little bit slower because a lot of the tyres aren't designed to take corners at high speeds in the wet. We don't have the MotoGP kind of tyres. And a lot of the sportier bike tyres aren't that great in the wet either. They're designed more for the drier weather. And you might find yourself that you need to lean further over to get to that part that has the water protection. You might not even feel confident on it. Hugh, who has the MT09, finds this with his tyre. He goes, it's too slippery when I'm leaning in a comfortable range. I need to lean in that sort of uncomfortable range for the tyre to start gripping in the wet, because that's where the tread for the water is. Just take it easy and ride within your means. Now, I'm going to focus more on the more extreme things. So we'll start with before the rain hits. When it's really windy, what do you do when you're caught in a real strong wind? Certain bikes, lighter bikes, sports bikes, they get picked up a little bit more with wind. Crosswinds are worse than any other kind of wind. Head-on wind, you might feel yourself going, whoa, a little bit. Tailwind, you're just going to go a little faster, but crosswinds are the ones that take you by surprise. Especially if you're going through open plains, like farmlands or just open fields, and there's a big gust across, you might find yourself veering in the lane or even going over an entire lane. How do you deal with this? You either need to be prepared and expect the wind. Power through it's very important and very common. Powering through it does help quite a bit. And you'll find that once you start powering through the wind, you will start, regulating on the bike a bit more. But leaning into the wind is how you sort of counteract this. Now, if you find yourself veering, you can even stick your leg out to one side. So when you're riding around like this, you just sort of, and that will create almost like a sail that catches the wind and then brings you in that other direction. I do it when I'm going in a straight line just to help me veer a little bit if I can't be bothered doing the whole pushing on the foot peg or counter steering. You'd be surprised how effective the wind sail from the leg can be, so don't be afraid to use that as a technique. But don't panic if you do get caught off guard, because when you panic, that's when you might make a bad decision that causes you to lose control, start doing something you're wrong, panic brake and lose it. Just be like, oh, okay, that's different, and then apply your knowledge and get yourself back to where you need to be. Panicking is probably going to cause you more problems in all these scenarios than anything else. Keeping a level head and applying your practice and what you've trained yourself to do is the best way to stay calm. Realizing that it's just a weather event and you might have something unexpected happen, and it's like, oh, that's different. It's a much better mentality than going, oh shit, what's happening? You know what I mean? And even if you have a, uh-oh, what's going wrong? Take a second, be like, oh, it's just wind. Whoop, and get yourself back to it. You might find yourself battling it the whole ride. But it's only wind. It's only going to do one of two things, really. Push your left or push your right, alright? It's not that bad. Take a second, take a breath, and realize which way you want to go, and then correct yourself accordingly. Don't panic and fear the weather. If it is too much for you and you don't feel comfortable, just pull over, alright? There's no shame in waiting it out. Now, if it's raining, pull over under a bridge or park up somewhere there's a bit of cover so you can get out of the rain if you're scared of it. But wind, if you don't like it, just pull over. And try and make sure the bike doesn't get blown over too, but just stand next to it. It's only wind, alright? Now, I'm not talking tornado levels of wind, but some gale force winds, you might find yourself not comfortable. Just stop. No one's going to judge you for pulling over and not feeling safe on your bike. You don't need to be a hero if you're not comfortable. Don't be ashamed or embarrassed about them. There's nothing wrong with choosing the safer option than panicking and hurting yourself because you did something wrong. You know what I mean? That's heavy, heavy wind. Now, if you get caught in an absolute downpour, now this has happened to me both when I started riding, it's happened to me during rides, it's happened to me a lot. I don't like it, but it is what it is. When you get caught in a torrential downpour out of nowhere, whether or not you knew about it or not, or you tried to beat it but you got caught in it, you can either pull over and wait out the rain. Now, you might not always be able to wait it out. Sometimes it gets heavier and heavier, or sometimes the heaviness passes. Whatever the radar says, if you can't wait it out, you're going to have to deal with it, okay? All you need to do is not panic because it's only rain. Avoid standing water, okay? You can go slow, you can take it easy. Everybody knows these. These are basic wet weather things. Don't go as fast, don't accelerate as hard, don't lean at such a high speed. That's basic. Some people don't seem to warn about standing water, so puddles. On a motorcycle, a big puddle is worse than a wet road. In a car, a puddle's not great. You can aquaplane, hydroplane, whatever you call it, but you've got 4 points of contact in a car. So if two wheels veer a little bit, you can still sort of steer yourself out of it. On a bike, if you hit a standing water puddle, you've only got 2 wheels, and if both of them hit the water, you might float and lose it. And in fact, most cases when you hit a standing puddle, you're going to have a bad time, okay? So it's best to avoid the deeper puddles. You can go through a shallow puddle, you're not going to have an issue there. But I try to avoid them anyway. But a deep puddle that comes out of nowhere, either go really slowly through it and don't be scared or ashamed because someone behind you has to slow down. Just make sure they do slow down. But it's better than going in at full speed, losing it because your front wheel comes off the ground and you fall down and you end up having even more wet, miserable, sore, injured, and the bike's damaged. Standing water, very, very bad, okay? It doesn't get taught enough, and it feels like it should be common sense, but some people don't understand the risks of it. So try your best to avoid the big puddles when riding, if you can. If you can't, go slowly through them, please. I don't want to see anyone falling down because the front wheel lifts a little bit because of the water, and it happens a lot more than you think it would, okay? Hail. In most cases, I would say try and pull over and avoid it, because hail doesn't just get dangerous, it hurts. And if you're not wearing the full leathers, it hurts a lot. Now, it hurts in gear. You can imagine if you're not in gear, it stings. Rain hurts when you're not wearing gear, and it stings quite a bit. Big droplets of rain, if you're wearing a t-shirt, if like in the middle of summer it hits you, it stings like a lot, man. Hail feels like you're getting pelted with BBs the whole time. Now, if you're going 100 kilometers down the road, or 70, 80, 90 miles an hour, and a big chunk of hail hits you, and a bunch of them start, you're going to end up with welts. It hurts. So calm down in the hail. If you can pull over safely, please do. Otherwise, it's going to be a bad time for the foreseeable future, dude. And it's not going to feel good for you. The bike might get damaged. Do your best to avoid hail. Hail is just a shit time. Snow. Now, look, I haven't had any personal experience with snow. It doesn't snow in Melbourne. We do occasionally get a bit of frost, but if you know it's going to be snowing, if you don't, like, if you have snow tires, and I don't know how the snow tires works for bikes, and I'm game enough to admit that I don't know really anything about snow tires with bikes or anything in that regard. But try your best to avoid riding in the snow because it sucks because it's cold and hypothermia can exist and you might get frostbite if you have to ride a long time. Probably more so on the first two than the frostbite one, but still, black ice is more of your concern in snow. If you don't know what black ice is, it's the ice that's on the road, you can't really see, you drive over it, ride over it, you fall down, have a bad time. Now, at least if you fall in the snow, you'll have a little bit of ice to ice the wounds. But I just generally say avoid riding in the snow. It's not the safest time to ride. It's not the safest environment to be in. It sucks overall. Like, riding in the wet is cold and miserable. Riding in a hot day, it's nice to get a bit cool sometimes. A bit of rain's actually really nice in the hot days because you might cool down a bit. Snow is just bad. It's a bad time. So I know most people just put their bikes away during the snow months, but if you really can't, you've got to be really careful. Because snow, it takes you by surprise more so than what rain does, because there's ice on the road. And ice, unlike water, don't really move and flow. It just sits there and you go over it and you go, woo! You don't want that. It's like hitting the banana in Mario Kart. You don't want to really be doing such a thing. So try your best to avoid riding in the snow. Flooding, brother, don't ride in a flood. Maybe if you have an air-cooled engine, you just turn it on and keep it nice and cold if you haven't got any water in the air intake. But I'm joking. Don't go in floods. But yeah, dude, if it's really windy, ride through power through it or pull over if you're not safe. Use your body to create a sail or lean into the wind. If it's just started raining and the water's just hit the ground and the oils come up, be careful. That's what gets you off guard because you think it's dryish, but it's not. That's when the oils will make you slip and slide. If it's wet, just ride slower. Don't power through corners too much. Don't lean over too far. If it's pissing down, same principle. Just be careful about those raindrops hurt. Hail, try and avoid it as best you can because hail hurts. And snow, I mean, my opinion is to just don't ride at all in the snow. But that's my opinions about riding in different sort of wet weathers, all right, and windy, stormy weathers, as it were. If you have any other suggestions or any other opinions about it, let me know down below because there's some gaps in my knowledge. Like I said, the snow is very much a gap in my knowledge because I don't have to deal with it. I've never, ever seen snow in person. I've seen it way out in the distance on a mountain peak, but I've never actually interacted with snow because it doesn't snow in Melbourne. And the 3 times in my life it has snowed in Melbourne, I have been out of Melbourne because of course I have. As someone who barely goes places, so explain that one to me. So fill me in down below if you guys have to deal with snow and how you handle it, because I don't know. But the rest of them, if you have any other tips, tricks, or you think I've said something that you don't agree with, please let me know. I'm not going to argue with you. I like having more knowledge and opinions, so that's how we do things around here. Otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, do take it easy, keep it cheesy, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. The Discord link is in the description. Buy yourself some merch, and as always, take it easy, keep it cheesy. Peace. Bye!